Hey, welcome to Half the Battle.
We're back to the comic with issue 42, Ties That Bind. Now, remember last issue? It was an action-packed romp with the battle for the newly created Cobra Island, with almost non-stop action.
Yeah, this issue, nothing like that.
This is very much a transitional issue, meaning it wraps up a few things from the last one and sets up stuff that will pay off later, meaning the issue itself has little going for it. Hell, I could just sum up this comic in 3 sentences and call it a day.
You guys wouldn't mind that, would you?
Move this man!
Yeah, I figure as much. Well, let's get on with it.
The cover is certainly making promises. Promises I bet it's not gonna deliver on. It shows Storm Shadow about to murder an unidentified person. We know they're unidentified because they're just a silhouette, and they've helpfully put a question mark over the head. Seems a bit redundant to me. The opening page is unremarkable. It has Scarlet telling Hawk he should talk to Ripcord about his missing girlfriend, Candy, who you'll remember was taken by Buzzer in the last issue when he made his escape. Hawk does so, but before they can get into an argument about Candy being a Cobra agent or not, he gets a call from General Austin, who's one of the guys overseeing the G.I.Joe team, and he wants to chew them out for the Cobra Island debacle. The General is pissed off enough that he gives himself a massive heart attack in the middle of yelling at Hawk.
It's a rather unique take on the boss chews out his subordinate cliché.
I bet Dirty Harry's life would have been a whole lot easier if his chief keeled over in the middle of reprimanding him. Anyway, Hawk decides to visit the General in the hospital, taking Snake Eyes and Stalker with him.
And look, this comic has got like 4 storylines running through it. I'm gonna tackle them one by one, except for this next bit because it's relevant.
We switch to the home of Fred, a Crimson Guard under deep cover. This is actually the second Fred, who took over from the first one, and even took over his family when that one died. He's in bad shape now too. He's got a fever from spending time in the water after Snake Eyes and Scarlet kicked his ass on a ferry. And that was 6 freaking issues ago, so I'll forgive you if you don't remember it. He was presumed dead.
Remember, kids, nobody is dead in a comic unless you see a body. And even then, it's only like about a 30% chance.
His family doctor really wants him to rest, but he insists on tracking down the Joes, reminding his so-called family they don't know him as it's just a cover, and he really doesn't give a crap about them.
What a guy!
Now, this little side journey into Fred's life was all relevant, because by happy, not to mention unbelievable coincidence, he spots Hawk and pals in their Jeep. He puts a tracer on the vamp by shooting it out of a gun that comes out of his car's bumper. What, is Cobra using mask technology now? Man, Miles Mayhem is gonna be pissed. They arrive in Washington, and while Hawk is at the hospital, Stalker and Snake Eyes decide to go to the Vietnam Memorial to pay their respects. Yeah, these two were in Nam together. The scenes at the memorial are quite serious and touching, so I'm not gonna comment on them, other than to say they're respectfully done. They go to check the registry for the friends they've lost, but one name is missing: Wade Collins. As they realize this, Fred shows up saying that Wade Collins isn't dead. Cobra gave him a new face, a new name, and a new life. Their old friend, standing in front of them, is now one of the bad guys. And that's the cliffhanger that actually ends this issue.
You see what I mean about this being a transitional comic?
The Wade Collins stuff, as well as the Buzzer and Candy story we'll get to later, were very much the meat of the issue, which is surprising considering the cover had Storm Shadow on it. Let's look at that next. The person on the cover Stormy is about to cut in half? Yeah, that turns out to be Billy, Cobra Commander's son who he helped escape from Cobra, and it's just a bit of ninja training they're doing. So, as usual, the cover was, a bit deceitful, to say the least. The whole training segment is good visually, but lacks new information. Storm Shadow says he's looking for his uncle's killer,
which we already knew,
while Billy obviously has daddy issues,
which we also already knew.
They both vow to one day go out and achieve their goals. And I have to admit, I do like how they've got this whole Batman and Robin thing going on here. And it would have been interesting to see them team up. I say would have been because at the end of the segment, Billy has left to confront his past. So the dumbass is just gonna rush right back to Cobra.
I'm sure this will end well. Let's just soldier on. There's still 2 more storylines to go.
We switch to, some old fat guy hitchhiking. Witness the ultimate excitement that G.I. Joe comic brings you. I kid. The guy is actually the Softmaster, a highly trained ninja who was one of Snake Eyes' teachers. He is very wise and zen and all that crap you'd expect of a ninja grandmaster. Which is why it's so baffling to me that he's willing to hitch a ride with a drunk driver. Yeah, this guy is drinking coffee laced with brandy and is driving erratically. I just don't get why the Softmaster would do this. It's not like he's in a hurry, really. He gets to Springfield, which you'll recall is actually a Cobra-controlled town, to get some information. He heads to the police department and asks the cops if he can look at their computer. Naturally, the cops, who are all Cobra, don't take too kindly to strangers that come sniffing around. So, there's gonna be trouble.
But hey, Ninja Master!
So, of course, the next panel shows 3 knocked out cops and one that's terrified even though he's holding a gun. The Softmaster disarms the guy and demands all computer information on the Hard Master, who was Storm Shadow's uncle that was killed, not a porn star, though with that name I can understand if you'd be confused. And that's the end of that story in this issue. A 4th and final, we check in with Buzzer and Candy, who are still on the run. Well, Buzzer is anyway, since he's basically kidnapped her. They are still in the army prison bus that now has a busted windshield. So Buzzer decides that, maybe it's time to switch vehicles.
You can tell he's the smart one of the Dreadnoks.
During the switch, Candy attempts to get away, but Buzzer grabs her and scoops her in his arm. The next panel they appear in, she's in the car. And I have no idea how that could possibly happen. What, did he drag her into the car through the window while driving? I feel like there's a scene missing here. Anyway, she tries getting away again, and this time he smacks her. Gotta say, not a big fan of seeing that.
Look, I'm not against violence towards women per se. I'm gonna need to, totally rephrase that.
What I mean is, in a book like this, where there's combat situations where men and women are treated as equals, it's expected that men will fight women and vice versa. The G.I. Joe universe does a pretty good job of this, not having the token female characters fighting only each other. Most of the time. This, however, is different. Here, it's an untrained civilian being held captive by a terrorist. It just feels out of place. Anyway, Candy notices the guns in the pickup truck. I guess these just come standard with American cars. But Buzzer points out they don't have ammo, and as such are useless.
Hey, dumbass! A good smack on the head by the butt of that shotgun will still knock your sorry ass out, you know.
During their bumpy ride, literally I mean they drive through some construction, the car gets a jolt and a pack of ammo falls out of the glove compartment. Candy grabs the shotgun and loads it while elbowing Buzzer. Then there's a shotgun blast. The next panel we see these two. Buzzer is just fine. She missed. How the hell do you miss with a shotgun at that close range?
You know what? Forget it. He could have moved his head back at the last second. There's something far more stupid here anyway.
You see, they're now having a talk. Look, I'm sorry, but you had just fired a shotgun in the cab of a freaking pickup. You would not be having a conversation straight after, unless it went a little something like this.
What? 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 What?
They should both be at least temporarily deaf, if not have permanent hearing damage. Anyway, Candy decides to not shoot him in his stupid head, electing to just drive off. Though I do like how he's begging for his life. And that was Ties That Bind.
How was it? Boring.
All this issue does is set things up for later. Fred is Wade and will confront his old buddies. Billy is heading back to Springfield again. Buzzer and Candy are heading there too. And the Softmaster is already there.
Everybody's going to Springfield!
So yeah, a purely transitional issue. Literally as well as figuratively, since most of the characters spent their frickin' time driving to places. Seriously, people are in cars more in this issue than in a Fast and Furious movie. The only parts I really liked were the bit at the War Memorial and the Softmaster kicking ass. Other than that, it was a slog to go through.
See you next time, everybody!